Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so glad to be back on here. I've been out for about a week on vacation with the hubby for my birthday, his birthday, our wedding anniversary. We celebrate everything in February because our anniversary is February 12th, and then Valentine's Day, and then his birthday on the 18th, and then mine February 23rd. So everything is literally 1 month. So we took a week vacation. And so I've been out, so that's why you guys didn't see a video from me last week, plus trying to catch up on schoolwork. But, I wanted to do this evening talk to kind of discuss a topic that has been on my mind that I've been meaning to make a really nice video for you guys about. But I honestly, like I said, I haven't really been organized the last couple of weeks, right? But I'm going to make this into an evening talk just so that we can address the subject, okay? And so what I want to talk to you guys about is actually based off of 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 5. And it says, they said to him, this is the children of Israel talking to Samuel, the prophet Samuel. You are old and your sons do not follow your ways. Now appoint a king to lead us such as all the other nations have. So Samuel's getting old, and the children of Israel basically come up to Samuel and they say, hey, Samuel, we want a king. Because remember when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, God told them that I'm going to be your king. I'm going to be your God. I don't want you guys to be like the other nations. I'm setting specific rules to set you guys apart. And they didn't recognize that basically that their uniqueness, their place in God was their strength. And so when Samuel started getting older, they decided that, you know what? We want to be like the nations around us. We want kings. We want a king a physical king over us. We don't want God to be the only king over us. We want actual kings. And so, this kind of made me think about a few things. Okay, as children of God, we have to stop allowing society and the things happening around us to dictate our lives. We have to learn to be kingdom minded. We have to learn to be purpose driven. We have to understand that we are people that are set apart, meaning our way of life should not look like the world around us. And I think our issue sometimes is the fact that when we talk about worldly things, being worldly, we think about it only in the aspect of sin. We don't think about how society has shaped the way that we think about things, right? A prime example is marriage, right? Society says that at a specific age, in your mid to late 20s, you should be married, right? If you're going into your late 30s, late 40s, late 50s, you're way too late for marriage. Where did God say that? Where did God say that? And so we have people that their lives, they've gotten older, they're not married, and they are pressuring themselves and allowing people to pressure them about getting married because for them they're late. But did God tell you were late? And so that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about us remembering and understanding that we are children from heaven. I want to talk about how to live from heaven. That is the title of this video. I don't know if I'm going to change it when I post it, but the title of the notes as I took it is Living from Heaven. And what that talks about is how we allow God, how we allow the voice of the Holy Spirit to dictate how we live every aspect of our lives, not just in the terms of sin. None of what I'm going to talk about in this video is about anything that is sinful or wicked or evil. I'm talking about things that are actually godly, like marriage. God is the one who established marriage, but it doesn't mean that God, in God's perfect will, marriage is in the works for you. Or it doesn't mean that marriage, you're supposed to get married at 20. Maybe in God's perfect plan for you, you're supposed to get married at 50. Somebody just probably like, oh my God, why? What do you mean get married at 50? I need to go like that. Maybe God wants you to get married at 50. And a kingdom-minded person will be okay with that because they will understand that their life is specifically and uniquely designed for a purpose on earth. When Jesus came, I'm pretty sure by the time that before he revealed himself as the Son of God, people were probably murmuring. Jesus was 30. He was not married. He didn't have any kids. And at that time, that's weird. At least you should have a girlfriend, well, I don't think they did girlfriends back then, but you should be thinking about settling down. But Jesus understood that his life had a specific purpose. To the point that when God tells him you're gonna die at 33, he was not like, oh no, that's dying too young. Oh my gosh, that's young. That's premature death. No, it was in God's perfect timing, God's perfect will. And I think that as children of God, we allow society, we allow social media to determine how we live our lives. We allow society to tell us what we are too old to do or what we are too young to do. We allow society to give us permission to do things that God has not given us permission to do. And as children of God, we have to start to remind and renew our minds. We have to start renewing our minds to the fact that we are supposed to be living on heaven's agenda for us and not the earth. And you should not be allowing anybody that is not in a place to pray for you, to receive divine revelation about your life, to be giving you advice or pressuring you. I'm going to say that again. If you're not praying for me, you're not praying for me enough for God to reveal divine things about my life to you, you're not in a position to pressure me about what I should and should not be doing. Because we allow just anybody. We allow just social media, we allow ourselves to dictate what we should be doing. I don't even know how to phrase this. We think we don't give God room for the supernatural. We don't give God room for the divine because we are so set on living natural and regular lives. But as kingdom people, we have to accept to be unnatural. We have to accept for people to look at us weird because we don't do things the way they do. And again, I'm not talking about sin, because again, anytime we talk about these type of things and living the way of the kingdom, our mind automatically goes, well, worldly. We're talking about living having kids out of wedlock. We're talking about premarital sex. We're talking about clubbing and cussing and all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about things that are good, that are godly, but are not in God's divine purpose, God's divine will, God's perfect will for your life. Okay? And so if you're a person who's been like the children of Israel, where God says, I am setting you apart. God says, you are a people, you're my own people, you are holy, you are royalty, you're set apart from my specific, unique purpose. And you have looked around your life, you have seen your colleagues, you have seen your friends, you have seen your sisters and your brothers excelling in one area or another, and you tell yourself, okay, there's something wrong with me, I want what they have, and you leave your position your position in God's, where God has positioned you. I'm sorry, let me say that again. If you look at how everybody else is living and to not see the strength of your uniqueness, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. What do I mean? You see that your sister got married at 25. You are about to be 35. And God, you know that God has not told you to go and get married right now. But because you see that your younger sister, especially for us, like in the African community, when they see like your younger sister or brother getting married before you and you're the older person, oh, there's something gotta be wrong with you. You mean like you're 30 and you're not married? You're 30 and you don't have kids? We have a life that is not exclusive to just us. Our lives as believers are not exclusive to just us. It's not exclusive to the time that we even live in. We have to understand that we're part of a greater plan. We are part of God's greater process. So when God gives us a specific assignment, a specific purpose, and he positions us in a specific place, we cannot just depend on our emotions. We cannot just depend on society to dictate what we do, because the way God has positioned us is linked to places and people to come. Hundreds, thousands of years after you. Look at the life of Abraham. If Abraham did not stay where God told him to stay, Abraham could have told God, hey God, I know you want me to go to the promised land. I know you're talking about me having kids in my 90s. What? God, that's not normal in our culture. That's not normal. People are talking about me. People are laughing at me. That's not normal. So I think I'm going to stay in Haran where my father is, because we have a business here and we have all good things here. And we're set, God. I think I'm going to stay here. We will not be talking about Abraham today. And I remember I heard something, I think it was from Pastor Stephanie Ike, who she was talking about how oh my gosh, my mind literally just went blank. She was talking about how sometimes God can skip a generation to go to another generation to get his assignment done. So God can give you, can determine that there's something meant for you, but if you don't stay in alignment with him and you don't obey him in the way that he has called you to, he can give whatever assignment he meant for you to your children, and you don't want to be in that position. And I remember a long time ago, I think it's one of my evening talks, where I was reading about Abraham's father. If you read that story closely, I think in Genesis 14, if you read that story closely, Abraham's father was actually headed to Canaan, where God told Abraham to go. He left his country. The Bible says he was heading to Canaan, but when he got to Haran, he stopped, and that's where he died. And when I did some research, Haran is actually very far from the Ur of the Chaldeans, where they come from. So we can imagine this man took up his family. God probably told him, go to Canaan. And he was probably the first one that was supposed to receive all the promises that God had with Abraham. Because why was he heading to Canaan? And because he stopped, he died there in Haran. And then God came again and told Abraham, leave where you are and go to Canaan. And I believe that honestly, that Abraham's father was supposed to be the one that was going to benefit from the covenant that God later established with Abraham. So God's purpose is going to get done in the earth realm. But if we don't position ourselves, it can skip us, and we don't want to be that. If we want to allow society to dictate our lives, we can miss out on blessings. We can miss out on God's purpose for our lives. It doesn't mean you go to hell. It doesn't mean you go to hell. You'll be saved, but you will lose a lot. Okay? And so we have to accept to be unnatural in the eyes of the world. We have to accept to do things God's way. We have to risk being made fun of and being labeled as weird. We have to accept to allow God to retain our mind, to renew our minds to a new normal, God's divine timetable. And it's in that way, especially in these end times, that we will carry the glory of God. Because many have fallen short of the glory of God, not in the way of sin, but they have not experienced the fullness of what God has meant for them, because they decided to live life the normal way and did not make room for the supernatural. They did not make room for divine intervention, because they wanted to live life how the world wants us to live life. So you have to go back to God and ask God, is marriage in your plans for me? If so, Lord, is the timing that I'm thinking what you're thinking? And if God says, no, I don't want you to get married ever, are you okay with that? That's how you will know who really controls your mind. If God says, no, that those babies that you want, no, it's not in my plans for me, because I want you to birth spiritual children that you'll have time to take care of them. Because, the physical babies, that's for your sister, because I want something to come out of her womb that's going to influence generations. But I put something in you that spiritual children are going to need. So I don't want you to have children. Would you be okay with that? Or will society say there's something wrong with you because you don't have kids? Is it okay for God to tell you his perfect will? Or will these things make you depressed because you're not going to get what you want? You're not going to get what society says you need. And I think what it comes down to is this question. Who influences your desires? Because like I said, marriage is not bad. But even Paul says that it's actually those who don't get married actually have a better opportunity to serve God. But society says if you don't get married, there's something wrong with you. And again, I'm not talking about, where you're supposed to get married, but then there's what the enemy is doing. That's why I remember I said that if a person is not in a position to pray for you, for God to reveal things about your life to that person should not be giving you advice or should not be speaking into your life. That person should not be in a position to pressure you into doing anything. Because if you love me enough to speak into my life, to lead me to do something, then you should love me enough to go to God to know what God's specific and perfect plan for my life is. That way, when you're giving me advice, I know that it's not based on your experience. It's not based on what the world has said that you have learned. It's not based on anybody else's experience. It's based on what you have gotten directly from the heart of God concerning my life. So I will listen to you. If that's not the case, you cannot pressure me into doing anything. And we have to be able to take a stand on this. It doesn't mean it's a sin. It doesn't mean that whatever they're talking about is a bad thing. It can be godly, but is it godly for you? So when I talk about living from heaven, this is what I mean. Let's align ourselves with the heart of God. Let's get to a place where we seek God for his perfect will, perfect timing. Okay? And if you're in a position to influence other people, if you're a parent and you see that maybe your kids are older and they're not married, they see their kids are older and they're not having kids, or maybe one kid is different from the other and you're worried and you're pressuring them, do this, do that, do that. I remember there's a lady on Facebook in one of the groups that I'm in, and she was talking about how God told her to put her ministry on pause, but her mom had been pressuring her, telling her that she's getting too old, so she needs to take it back up. But she said that God told her to put it on pause. So if you're a parent and you're in a position to influence the lives of your children, to speak into their lives, don't pressure them based on your personal experience. Don't pressure them on what you've been taught about, what should be done. Talk to them based on what you've searched the heart of God for concerning them. When you finish searching the heart of God for their lives and God tells you, this is what I want them to do, then you start speaking into their lives from that perspective. Because then you will be in alignment with God. But you don't want to be that person that starts to resist what God is trying to do in the lives of your children, the lives of your siblings, just because you want them to experience what you experience, or you want them to experience what society considers normal. Because there are some things that society considers normal, but God has a specific purpose for which he created that son or that daughter. And you have to find that out and be in alignment with God. And don't make it harder for them, because now they have to fight against you, the pressure that you're applying to them. They're already getting enough pressure from the world. So if you're a parent, or if you're a person, a place of influence, don't align yourself with the voice of society. Align yourself with God so that you can be a support for them to accomplish their unique assignment in the earth realm. We are kingdom minded. Our lives are uniquely designed. And so we have to stop allowing society, age, family, money, fame to dictate and determine the path that we take and the decision that we make. We have to stop allowing those things to even influence our desires. There are some things that we desire, like I said, I'm coming back to the example of marriage, but there's some things that we desire, not because God has put those desires in our heart, but because we have been around people who told us that these things are what we should have, or we have seen other people have those things. And so this is why social media plays a big role, because I've noticed that anytime I'm very, very active scrolling on Facebook and on Instagram, I start to notice that there are some things I begin to desire for my life that I didn't desire before. And even though you may not be making a conscious effort to compare yourself to somebody else, by seeing those things every day, you are downloading those things in your subconscious and in your spirit, and you see that you start to act upon them to, again, desire things that God did not mean for you. All right? So let's renew our mind. Let's renew our mind. Let's not live life by the earth's wisdom. There's godly wisdom and then there's earthly wisdom. God's wisdom confounds the earth's wisdom, because the earth will tell you at this age you should be doing this, you should be doing this, you should have this. God says, nah, I want the opposite for you. And the world will look at it and be like, nah, you're weird. Accept to be weird. Accept to be made fun of. All right. I hope that this video was a blessing. This is an evening talk, so forgive me for all the mistakes. I can't really edit it because it's an evening talk and I just wanted to flow. So consider these kind of like lives. Okay. And so I pray that this video was a blessing to you guys. But if you don't take anything from this, just take away the fact that you have to renew your mind to live from God's unique design for your life versus what age, society, fame, money dictates. Don't allow those things to dictate your desires, to dictate how you live your life. Again, not in the issue of sin, because we're so quick to do that. Not sin. I'm not talking about sin. I'm talking about the good things, but they're not meant for you because your life is unique. All right. God bless you guys. I love you guys. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, to comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay. God bless you. Bye-bye.